Today, we are going to talk about flexible UV resin. It can be frustrating at times because you see this stuff on Instagram and it's usually, a hard to find Japanese brand and it's, coming soon. And it seems like this brand new thing that, especially here in the US, we're not going to be able to get our hands on. But a lot of the times they're just repackaging something and calling it for, something for the nail industry. So this stuff is already available here. It's just called soft type UV resin. So we can already use it. So don't be sad when you're looking on Instagram seeing obscure, Japanese brands saying coming soon, because we already have it here. So I'm just showing you how flexible this stuff is. It's pretty cool. This is just for nail molds, mind you. You see how shiny the back is? That, because this is sort of a gummy texture and stretchy, that makes it so it actually sticks to the nail surface really well, especially if there's like a shiny top coat or something on it. And it makes positioning the, castings super easy. You can try different things out. And sometimes if it's a smaller thing, you actually have to work at it to kind of get it up. It's almost like a suction cup kind of action sometimes, depending on, how you've cast something and what the casting is. You just need to make sure you are using colorants that are compatible with UV resin, and not all are. And so I have a list in the description of this and in the link in my bio that lists to all of these materials, and I have made sure that the stuff I've listed is compatible with UV resin. Some of them just aren't, and it just won't cure correctly, whatever. So you have to make sure of that, but you can get an opaque look because these do have white in them as well in the sets. You can always use mica powders or any powdered pigments. And, so add glitters, and this will add shimmer to it. You just want to make sure you're using as little as possible with everything, because we do need the light to penetrate it to do the full cure. And to get the full cure, you're going to need to do several cycles for 60 seconds in your lamp. And sometimes I like to, maybe do the first 60 seconds, then flip it over, pull it out of the mold, and flip, do the opposite side and put it in the lamp. So just kind of, like you're broiling both sides of the casting, if you will, just to make sure you are curing it fully. Now, I think it is okay to use alcohol ink as well in it. I have read a little bit back and forth. I thought I saw somewhere it was like, oh no, don't use alcohol inks. But then I've seen that you can. So I think if you're just using a tiny bit, it's not going to kill anything, but I don't know. So I'm just putting that out there. You could also use a little bit of gel polish, but the thing is, the more you use, the stiffer the casting is going to get. So I was experimenting with that, and you are going to start losing the flexibility, which is the whole point of getting this and using this in our little nail molds. And this is especially helpful for these nail molds that are flat. Now, this is something I try to do all the time. I flip it over and I try to see if there are any tiny air bubbles in there. And if I have any, I then go back in there with my little pokey stick and I try to basically sweep that bubble out to an edge to get it out of the casting. And you're pretty good to turn these over for, a quick couple seconds to check that, because the surface tension of everything, these are such small little shapes that we're using for nails, it's not going to immediately start dripping out. And then that way you have a chance of getting a much cleaner casting. Okay, and I've just cured that for 60 seconds. And so I'm taking it out of the mold, and now I'm going to put that back in my lamp and do maybe 1 to 2 more 1-minute cycles, because it does say on the instructions that it takes a couple minutes in an LED UV light to fully cure for this type of gel. Because we have our shiny back on there from the open part of the mold, this thing is going to stick. Do you see how well that sort of sticks down to the surface of the nail? Instead of everything just sliding off and you can't even, figure out how you want to position something. Frankly, I love this the most about it. And then you can just smush it down with your fingers. Now, this isn't permanently on there. You still need to, now use some sort of adhesive gel to finish off everything like you normally would using a casting from a nail mold. But this really helps with positioning and figuring out what you want to do with the nail. Things aren't sliding around. Yeah, I love it. And a few more things here. I will have These are just dental mixing pads. Instead of getting the ones for nails, it's generally cheaper. Sometimes the prices change on them. So I have those linked in the Amazon list as well, because you can get all of this stuff on Amazon. I also put these tin containers in that list, because if you have several colors that you've mixed, you're kind of doing some custom stuff, but you like the colors and you're not done using them, you can these pads fit in these tins. So it's perfect. Put that aside. It won't cure. Now, it's not going to keep forever in there. They do start to kind of get gummy and dried out, like something's evaporating off of them, but they're going to last a little bit for you. I think the ones I listed, the lid is a separate piece. I'll see if I can find these ones that are hinged, but either way, they're the same size. They're great. They both work just fine, and I have both kinds. Here's another really important thing I want to show. Look at this. This just comes in the box with it. The full SDS sheet. We've got the percentages of each ingredient, the ingredients all listed. Yes, it does have HEMA in it, like most nail polish does. It's 5%. And they just tell you. You know why this is just in there? Because it's not a nail product. So they just tell you. So people, it is that simple. Everyone could just be doing this. I know exactly what's in there. Ugh. So easy. I don't understand why nail products don't. It's so annoying. So anyway, there you go. Even that's great about it. I mean, technically it's not a full SDS sheet because it's not giving us the hazardous warnings, but where do you see the actual percentages listed on ingredient lists on any nail polish products? So anyway, there you go. A little self-correction. I know it's not an entire SDS sheet, but more than you get with anything. Okay, so once you have colors that you like, some basics that you use a lot, maybe it's white and black and a gray, whatever it is, you can just pre-mix some. And I have these containers also in the list that I've made for all of these materials to be able to do this. You can just put it in here, because this is exactly what these nail polish companies are selling you. This is what their product comes in, is these little black bottles with the needle tips. So there you go. You can make your own custom colors. It's probably a quarter of the price. There is a tiny bit of HEMA, so if that's a concern for you, don't use this. Maybe those brands don't have HEMA in it, but who knows, because they don't tell us. Here's some really cool My Little Leaf molds. I love these. I'm going to do some houseplant nails, I think, with those. Hey, maybe I should show you the bottle. See, it's just clear, soft type UV resin, and you get 100 grams for like $15. And my last little tip before we go, if you are doing lace, some really delicate flat stuff, because this stuff is flexible, you have to be a little patient when you are trying to pull this up from the mold for the first time. Be gentle, kind of mindful of how you're pulling things up, because it can tear because it's softer. And cleanup is also going to be a little more involved because it likes to stick to the surface more. So you're really, in some of these with all these little tiny bits, you may have to kind of go in there and scrub several times with rubbing alcohol to get all the little bits out of there. And maybe even use some baby powder at the end. That will kind of get things up and ball up any little pieces of the flexible resin that don't want to come off of it. But isn't that cool how I'm basically just wrapping that whole nail in a lace pattern now, and it's sticking to the surface enough that I can actually work with it? Anyway, look at how it's really sticks to that surface. And that's it. That's my intro to flexible UV resin. I think it's great that we already have access to this, so that it's really just brands repackaging this to get it into the nail industry. And we can already use it here, so you don't have to feel left out. Almost reminds me of the poke gel, Toktok gel, Raindrop gel thing happening everywhere right now.